Good morning, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group with your Tuesday morning rundown, and it is March 1st. On to a new month. We'll look at some performances so far this year, but let's go through the overnight markets first. Let's go through to Asia. Nikkei was up just a touch, close to about 40 basis points last night. A couple other interesting movers last night. Hong Kong up nicely, up 1.6%. Shanghai also up about 1.7%. There was some economics out in China last night. It actually opened up, let's take a look. Actually opened up around flat to a little bit lower and then climbed through the second session there, finishing close to the highs of the session. So not too bad out of China last night. Here was the economics that came out, manufacturing data, just a touch below expectations, 49 manufacturing PMI, 49 versus 49.4. So a little bit, which seems to be kind of how the China economic goes, very close to in line, but it looks like a little bit of a miss there. What else? PMI manufacturing over here came out a little bit less than expected. There was also some data out of Germany this morning. And let's see. Looks like, was it yesterday? It looks like retail sales came out. Unemployment change, here we go, right in line with expectations. Claims, right in line with expectations as well. So nothing too market moving there. Just finishing out the rest of the markets. Let's go through. There was a couple other movers in here. India, here we go, up 3.4% last night. Possibly watch EPI. INP today. Modi was out last night with some new budget moves, so they got a bit of a move last night. India was up 3.4%. Let's take a look at European markets this morning. A lot of green there as well. Euro stocks up about 80 basis points. The DAX up 1.2%. Barclays is, so a couple data points. Fiat Chrysler had some good sales numbers. Meanwhile, Barclays, the opposite. They're actually down pre-market. So we'll go through some of those movers. But green hours across the board. Looking at commodities, let's go over there. First of all, let's take a look at S&P futures. I see this on the hourly chart, and you can see that we continue to move. I've had this this trend line. I'm actually going to have to extend this today, but this is a trend line that we've been continuing to track. So if you go to the So before I switch from the hourly chart, I would watch 1950. That seems to be the area to watch in S&P. That's kind of where we stalled out towards the end of last week. Let's see if that can continue to be an area of resistance. Let's see. Let's go to before I go to oil and commodities, let's go to the daily chart in S&P. Same thing, right around this 1950 level, top of value. Looks to be around 1947, 1948. I'd also keep an eye on, as futures are up this morning, as we continue to kind of grind higher along this trend line, right around that 1950, 1960 level as well. Looks to be this particular trend line. All right, so let's go over to the big mover again this morning is crude. Before we look at the closer time frame, just take a look at the daily chart. It does look like we're moving out of this zone that has been a little bit of resistance. This is where we were back on 218. So we do see a 34 handle now in crude as we're starting to edge higher here, up another 55 cents, 1.6% this morning. Keep in mind we do have API numbers out later after today's close. Looking at the 5-minute and the hourly. We are trading now outside of value, which was 33.56 on the hourly chart there. So I would watch that as well. That could act as, if we end up coming down, that could act as support, 33.56. And this is also the high that we reached, which is right around this 34.72 level. So a couple areas to watch. To the upside, 34.72, to the downside, 33.56. Let's take a look at some of the other commodities. Nat gas, once again, I was talking about nat gas yesterday, down about 80 basis points, taking out the lows from December. Let's go over to gold. Gold's up again, was up very nicely last night. I think it's actually come in a little bit, but still up, yeah, about 70 basis points. This is on the 5-minute chart. Got to the high all the way up here of about 1249. Reached that again this morning, but has come back in a little bit. And then finally, bonds. Bonds are down, down about 20 basis points from yesterday's close. All right, so let's go through. What else did I want to talk about this morning? Let's talk about sectors real quick. This is something I'll put out later on Twitter. But so I always like to look at, once it's the end of the month, you could see what the performance is year to date. A little eye-opening here. You know, just as we saw, biotech was really down hard yesterday, down over 2%. That's continuing with the trend, now down 25% year to date. So that trend is broken. You know, clearly that uptrend. So I actually am putting out a little bit of a trade idea on IBB to come out later today. But you could see the metals space. So really some of the worst performers last year, XME continues to climb higher, up 11.6. FCX was actually upgraded by Bank of America this morning. And then you have a lot of the defensive groups where people kind of hit out earlier this year. XLU up 7%. XLP also in positive territory. Telecom up 3%. So just a quick rundown. Again, this is year-to-date performers. And energy, regional banks down about 16% year-to-date. So just something to take a look at. I will send this out later on Twitter. Should also be posted on my website. Let's go through some of the upgrades and downgrades. Okay, so Banco Santander raised to buy at HSBC. As I mentioned, FCX raised to neutral at Bank of America. Notice there was also a move in the other direction here in FCX. Cut to sector perform at Scotia. So a little bit of different ratings coming out there, but I do see FCX up pre-market. Quest Diagnostics raised to buy at Mizuho. They also raised to buy was WBA, Walgreens. UTX raised to outperform at RBC. RIG raised to hold. A couple other names there as well. Downgrades, a little bit more downgrades this morning. Express Scripts cut to neutral. So it looks like Mizuho put out a whole big list this morning. CEMP cut to neutral. Bank of America cut to neutral as well. McKesson cut to neutral, Mizuho. Rangel Resources cut to neutral, Bank of America. So interesting there. One of the gold miners down, even though gold is up this morning. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole mining group acts today. And then a couple of different initiations today, but nothing too market moving. Let's go through the other movers this morning in single stock names. VRX getting a little bit of a lift from that big sell-off yesterday, pre-market. Confirms a subpoena from SEC. Here we go, fell 18.4% yesterday. LVS, some Macau monthly casino revenue out. LVS up 2.6%. Wynn, which has had a really nice run. So all the casino stocks look to be up a little bit from that news. I would keep an eye on those names. And that looks like it. Workday also out with earnings. I noticed they are up pre-market. I think there was also an upgrade on them as well. In economics today, just something else to watch. So two other things to watch. Most of the economics today, we do have some ISM manufacturing, new orders, construction spending. All this comes out a half hour after the open. So so expect some volatility around this number about a half hour after the open. It's also first of the month. So you could see, just, like there was a little bit of rebalancing, end of month rebalancing that we saw in the afternoon yesterday, which increased volatility. Also, the first of the month flows can be interesting. So keep an eye on some divergences between small caps, IWM, large caps, SPY, IVV, that type of thing, and mid caps, MDY. As sometimes there are funds that kind of reallocate some of their portfolio between classes. I have seen this on the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month, so something to keep an eye on there. So thanks very much for watching the morning video, and have a great day. Good luck trading today.